To start recording, and once that gets going, we'll get started. Okay, so welcome everyone to Talk of the Town, brought to you by the Chamber of Commerce, serving Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows. So this is our alternative to in-person networking. So hopefully, people aren't getting too sick of Zoom right now, but these are the things we're doing to help promote our business and let the community know what our businesses are doing and who's out there, and network in a way that we were able to. So yeah. And so I've just said to anyone that's not presenting to be on mute and turn your video off, and we'll have our presenters unmute and turn their video on when we call on them to do so. So with that, we'll get started. And our first speaker is Randy with West Coast Auto Group. So go ahead, Randy.
Good afternoon, everybody. I've never participated in one of these before, but thank you very much for inviting us to present. I'm thinking that what you're looking for me to talk about is how we dealt with the challenges due to COVID in our business, in our workplace, and with our business. So I'll try to enlighten you as best as I can. I've been in this business an awful long time and been very fortunate to work for Scott and Michelle Jones since 1997. And quite frankly, I've never seen anything quite like this. But the good news is that we're really busy, and I'll explain why that is in a minute. For the first time in my life, I had to lay off salespeople. I've never done that in 35 years as a sales manager. That was going way back into late March. That was very gut-wrenching, and we had to make some hard decisions about what to do, but we scaled down to, in the Toyota dealership, and that's where I work. I'm not working in any other stores. But we scaled down to only 4 salespeople and myself and my sales manager. My position there is I'm the general sales manager. And we just worked really, really hard. And fortunately, what happened was April was quiet, but based on our web statistics and the people coming in through the door, all the people that would normally have come in April that didn't actually came in May, plus all the people that normally came in May came in May. And we were aided by some very, very strong support programs from Toyota Canada. And we've been kind of flying ever since. I'm glad to say that we brought back 1, 2, 3, 4 salespeople, and we're back up to a strength of 8. We still haven't brought everybody back, but we're working with what we have. It's been really interesting because we've had to manage customer expectations in a very different way. We've had to practice social distancing. Our service department was considered an essential service, so that never closed. But the sales department was not considered a non-essential service, so we were right sort of in the middle, in the gray area, where it was up to us to decide if we wanted to be open. We scaled back our hours and the number of people in the store, but we've been doing exceedingly well. What we found is that it seems to me, customers are unable to travel to places like Hawaii, Mexico, Disneyland, London, England, Tuscany, wherever you want to go in the world, and they're not even very likely to travel to a place like Toronto and get on an airplane for many good reasons. But what they seem to be doing is upgrading their family vehicle to be able to travel in Western Canada. And on the other end of the spectrum is I think probably fear about taking transit or public transportation. Many, many people have been buying automobiles where they wouldn't normally do that, when they wouldn't normally have. So they're adding, in some cases, another vehicle to the family. There's been some ride-sharing companies like Car2Go, for example, who've left the marketplace. And those customers, we've had some people come in buying automobiles when they were using a ride-sharing component. And beyond that, what we're seeing is disposable income is being used in different ways. We've been exceedingly busy, particularly since June. And from mid-May onwards, it's been as good or better than normal for us. And our service department has been unbelievably busy as well, because people are fixing up the family vehicle to make it better serviceable for long-range trips, I suppose. So our story is very positive, but it's been, very, very difficult in the sense that we've had to handle customers differently. We stepped out and forward with a very strong web presence many, many years ago, and fortunately that has paid off in spades, because what we're finding now is customers are more likely to call into the dealership just even with a telephone call. They've seen what we have online. They're calling us to find out that it's available. We've been able to establish a positive contact with customers verbally, and they're coming into the dealership. There are some people that are exceedingly frightened to come into a public place, so we've had to manage social distancing and people's emotions that way as well. But it's been a bit of a wild ride, and it's been largely positive. The most difficult part of it has been that every factory that Toyota has in North America was closed for 2.5 months. That's 10 out of 52 weeks of production, and that's about 1/5 of what they build. So we are very, very short of product, and in some cases, people are right now, if they're buying something today, they may be waiting for delivery till late October, early November to actually get it. I'm completely sold out of pickup trucks. I don't have anything on the lot to sell anybody, and we're selling into our pipeline, going into, depending on the product, as little as maybe 3 weeks to up to 2.5 months before it'll arrive for the customer. Most people understand that. They've been pretty good about it. They're getting the same answer from pretty much every brand. But fortunately, the factories reopened. They are at a slightly slower pace than they used to be because of certain social distancing that's happened inside of the plants. So they're not building quite as fast as they were. And with sanitation requirements, they have actually, in one of the plants, they're only running 2 or 3 shifts. So it's been a moving target, to say the least, in some ways. But we've had to say to customers, I had to stand in line for things like toilet paper and yeast and flour and sanitizing solutions, etc. Now it's cars. So they kind of get it. But I feel a little bit sorry for people that have had, say, a write-off, and they have to make an immediate decision to buy something, and they can't necessarily get what they want. But we're trying to manage it as well as we possibly can. The community has supported us really well. People in Maple Ridge continue to come in. Our market share has stayed firm with people in Maple Ridge. So we're pleased that they've supported our business. Taking a broader view in our auto group, some of the brands have done better than others. It depends on customer loyalty, but overall, we've managed to do well. There was a lot of people that were laid off initially in the group. I would say about 1/3 of our employees, but many of them have come back to work, fortunately, now. And we've lost some because they moved on to other lines of employment. In one case, we had a fellow decide to retire, actually 2 people in our store. So it's, long and the short of it is we've worked hard and been fortunate to stay open, unlike some businesses who were deemed non-essential and were required to close. And that's what it's been like the last 3 months or so.
Great, thank you, Randy. I know Randy has on a bit of a time limit, so I'll just quickly ask if there's any questions or Randy, or you have the contact information for Randy is up on the screen there as well if you wanted to reach out to him directly. So any questions, you can unmute yourself. Sorry, Randy, go ahead.
I'm just going to say I apologize for technology. I dialed in the wrong way on this meeting, and you can't see me. But what I would say is, if anybody does have a question about vehicles or availability, by all means, give us a call. We're happy to help. I know that many businesses are starting to move again, and they may have business-related requirements or personal requirements along the lines of what I've said. You know, we're finding some customers are taking a long-term view of this pandemic and thinking that it might be a year or two before things are really back to normal. So they're getting something now rather than maybe waiting till next year. So they've got a very reliable vehicle to serve their family and their business needs. Cars are, I think our availability will be overall probably about 90% within 30 days with the way the factories are producing. We've been beneficial to get some things that might have gone other places in North America, but some parts of North America are shut down completely still or in a large way. Like Quebec, the car dealerships were completely shut for 8 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks, so we got some of their production. But it's overall, I think we'll be pretty much back to normal on supply within 30 to 45 days, about 90% of it.
Great, thank you so much, Randy. Appreciate that information. Okay, so we are going to move on. Sorry, was there a question?
No, I was just going to say thank you for inviting us, and we look forward to contributing again sometime.
Absolutely, take care.
Thank you, bye.
Bye. Okay, so now we're moving on to our contact here for Big Brothers and Big Sisters of the Fraser Valley. Karina Carroll is the executive director there. So she's got some slides and some information for us on what they do. Very valuable information. Go ahead, Karina.
I will try and be as succinct as possible. So for those who aren't familiar with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, we have been present in the Fraser Valley for 50 years, just over 50 years actually, starting in Maple Ridge Mission, Abbotsford actually. And it started as Big Brothers as a response to young men going into prison, and some prison guards started this chapter to find out ways that they could prevent kids from going down the wrong path. So jump forward to today, and sorry if you could go back to that last slide, but so this slide was actually done before COVID. And if you look at some of the issues that the children we serve are facing, 54% of them are facing mental health issues. And that may not be a formal diagnosis of a mental illness, but it is mental health challenges and social isolation. Now, when we look at the impact of COVID that it's had on children, Children's Helpline a couple months ago reported a 300% increase in phone calls. And one of the strategies that they're recommending for families is to get a mentor. So the demand for mentors is high, but of course, working within COVID restrictions makes it really difficult to navigate for us. So we have tried to balance between working with everyone virtually and then going into safe in-person contact where we can either guarantee that there's physical distancing, or we require mentors to wear masks and to sanitize their vehicles if they're transporting someone and have the child in the back seat. But so we have all the safety measures in place, but I'm sure you can appreciate that, you know, that's not ideal for a relationship where you're having a big and a little. Try and connect and get their rapport going, where the mentor can support the young person. So you can go ahead to the next slide. You know, this slide is really about what we do provincially, but it's, you know, like we're a big organization across Canada. We're quite big in BC. We are in, I think we're in about 70% of schools, 60 to 70% of schools in the province with our in-school mentoring programs. Certainly we've shifted our focus from working mostly with children who are missing a parent to children who have a need for a mentor. And we understand that not every child who has two parents or two caregivers or two guardians is thriving. And we need to recognize that sometimes a mentor is someone that can step in and help out. And we also know that early intervention is the key. My background is actually, I started this work working in the downtown east side with youth on the street that were using heroin and in the sex trade. And I wanted to, as I progressed through my career working with different complex issues with youth, I knew that I really wanted to get into an area of prevention, because I feel very strongly that prevention actually is the only way of changing what's happening now. So that's why I'm really proud to be a part of Big Brothers Big Sisters, because we're engaging community members, helping their fellow community members. And 47% of our mentors are actually under the age of 29. So we're building leadership skills in these young adults as well. And I think it's a real statement about how youth do step up, and they are concerned about the future, and they are concerned about supporting their community and making sure that their community is healthy. You can go to the next slide. So a really quick overview of our core programming. We all started with the community-based mentorship model, and that's where we match a big brother with a little brother or a big sister with a little sister. And there is opportunity for that to be a bit more flexible. Certainly it's something we're looking at as far as not being so gender specific. We've had conversations about that and just figuring out kind of how we navigate that. But we work with children based on the gender that they identify with. We don't, we're not stuck in traditional gender roles, and we want to make sure that people do understand that. So we match children with mentors, and it's not just an easy match. It takes months, actually. The screening and the training that goes into a volunteer is quite lengthy. It's probably the best in the country. It's unparalleled as far as what we put our mentors through in order to become a mentor. In fact, some of them get frustrated with us at times, but we don't take it lightly. And then matching them with the child, we want to make sure that there's some common interests or common life experiences that they can really connect with, because it's really not about just an adult spending time with a child. It's about developing a different type of friendship. You can go to the next slide. The other programs that we have are the in-school mentoring, and within the in-school mentoring, we have teen mentoring. So in-school mentoring is 1 hour a week when an adult typically goes into a school and supports a child in school. And then where we're able to, we actually have high school students that go into the elementary schools and they support young people, which is a fantastic program. It's really, really positive for both the child and the young person who's doing the mentoring. And a lot of the kids that we mentor through the in-school mentoring program, including teen mentoring, have told us that the only reason they actually continue to go to school is because they have a mentor. Now, that has been probably the most difficult program for us to navigate, of course, through COVID, with the schools closing in the spring and summer, and then with the anxiety around going back to school. We are just now kind of coordinating what it's going to look like for us. Some schools really know that they need to have our mentors in the school meeting with these littles, or else they could lose them. When a child doesn't feel connected and they don't feel like they have a sense of belonging, it is very easy for them to start to disengage. And once kids start to disengage, it can be really difficult for them to make positive decisions. You can go ahead to the next slide. So another piece that happens in the schools, and this is an after-school program, is Go Girls and Game On. And again, you'll notice that they're very gender specific, and that's something that we're working on. But essentially, these programs are intended to teach kids about healthy living. That can be nutrition, physical exercise, but also healthy boundaries, healthy communication. And these young people, these children, can do it together. So they hold each other accountable, And because they have a co-student that's been through the program with them, they kind of speak the same language. You know, they've had that bonding experience, and it can be really, really positive for young people who are struggling socially. You can go to the next slide. So when we talk about our impacts, these are impacts that have been researched. So we don't typically put out our impacts or we don't make impact statements that haven't been grounded in research. And what we know is that children who are mentored are less likely to conduct negative behaviors like bullying. You know, many years ago, there was the anti-bullying campaign, and it was really, it didn't work, actually, it just backfired. What we want to do is make sure that we're supporting both children who feel like they're being targeted, but also children who are doing the targeting, because there's something going on for both of them. And we want to make sure that children learn how to communicate and relate to their peers in a positive way. So we also, mentoring also has a positive impact on social anxiety, and social anxiety is actually huge right now. My background, of course, being in children and youth, and I have my degree in child and youth care. I don't think I've ever seen levels of anxiety like this. I have friends that work in the schools, friends that work with the Ministry of Children and Family Development, and we've all kind of commented about how the levels of anxiety in young people today are like nothing we've ever seen before. We do see maybe a little less substance use with some age groups that we would have seen before, and so because you would see less substance use, you might see the anxiety come out more. And children are less likely to skip a day of school if they have a mentor. And that's the comment I had made before, is some of the kids that we work with have said that the only reason they go to school is because they have a mentor. Youth who have had mentors when they were younger are more likely to practice smart daily behaviors. And I think this is a really important thing, because when young people can learn these smart daily behaviors, they carry them with them into adulthood. They're more likely to obtain post-secondary education. And one thing I would say this study is lacking is looking at how many have obtained some type of post-secondary training. I don't think it has to be necessarily formalized university education to count. I think it can be trades training and apprenticeship. So I would want to see more studies done on that. And they're more likely to volunteer in their communities. And that's the thing, is they've received some support and they're more likely to give support back. Then when we look at adults who have been mentored as children, they're more likely to be employed or hold senior leadership positions. They earn more income over their lifetime. And that's a stat I always struggle with, because I don't think that's a true measure of success all the time. But they are more likely to pursue healthy lifestyles, which is an important stat. You can go to the next slide. So in school, I won't go over every single point of this, but basically a longitudinal study was done, and they found that these positive impacts were coming through, which was strengthened relationships, increased school engagement, and improved social and emotional development. And I think if you ask most parents what they would like to see happen for their children, it's under these three umbrellas. You can go to the next one. Under the Go Girls program, we see an increase, sorry, you can go to the next slide. We see an increase in sense of belonging, and that's, I had made a comment about that, about what the risks when someone doesn't have that sense of belonging. We do see some really positive changes that come out of the Go Girls program. Some of the feedback we get from the girls who participate it just makes me smile every time. You can go to the next one. And the same with Game On. So the Game On program really does build confidence, and they're having fun in a group setting, but also at the school. And so we recognize that, you know, school is the primary place outside of the home for many children. And so if we can deliver positive programming at school, and I think, not that school isn't positive programming, I mean, maybe not for me it was, but I think it's important that we add on to those experiences that they're having. You can go to the next one. So basically, we came up with some kind of challenges that we see happening around today. And we know that youth who don't graduate from high school are at serious disadvantage. And that's nothing new. I think most people know that. But when we see students who are meeting with their mentors, they are more likely to graduate because they're more connected to their school. If you're connected to your school, you feel like you belong, you feel confident, you feel supported, you're more likely to stay in that environment in a positive way. You can move on to the next one. So we also know that poor psychological health and substance abuse are correlated to bullying. but children who have been mentored have stronger positive identity. They really become grounded in who they are because they can have conversations with their mentor that they might not be able to have with a parent or a sibling or a family member. They have improved mental wellness. So we often talk about mental health and mental illness, but what we want to look at is, are people living well mentally? They have increased social inclusion. So they're more likely to feel connected socially, and they're also more likely to take some risks socially in a positive way, where they extend friendship to someone else because they now have the confidence to do that. And they have positive sense of empowerment, as well as less likely to engage in antisocial behaviors. You can go to the next one. And this challenge is around crime. So we know that mentoring has a very positive impact on reducing crime. More than 70% of those who enter the federal prison system have not completed high school, and 4 out of 5 who have substance abuse issues have been diagnosed with 1 or more mental health problems. Where mentoring steps in is it's helping with those issues at a very early age, and so that we can hopefully get kids on the right path. Not only kids, but we even had a mentor who had some friends. He was a teen mentor, and he had some friends going down the wrong path himself. And it occurred to him that he was accountable to this little person in his life, that he had committed to mentoring this young person, and it wouldn't be right for him to make bad choices because he would let that little person down. And I think that's a really important statement. I think when we are given an opportunity to be leaders, and given a chance, if young people are given a chance to step up into a positive role and gain confidence, I think it basically changes their outlook on life. So that's a really, really quick overview. I don't know if anybody has any questions, but we are anticipating a tough, probably 18 months, I would say, because of COVID. We have increased anxiety, we have increased homelessness, transiency within homes, employment issues. And that's the whole family. So sometimes it's not the child who's experiencing some of the direct issues. It's vicarious, right? So when we have parents who are experiencing increased anxiety, the kids are feeding off of that. We have to make sure we're providing supports in a way that not only supports that young person, but helps support the family as well. So September is mentoring month, and that's when we usually do a big recruitment campaign. We're going to kind of pull back on that a little bit just because we can't anticipate what things will look like in the fall. But if anyone is interested in becoming a mentor, we would be happy to talk to you about it. You can go on our website at www.mentoringworks.ca, and you can just fill out a quick inquiry form, and I usually get those and funnel them back out to the appropriate mentoring coordinator. And they follow up with anyone who wants to be a volunteer or might know of a little person that could use a mentor. I think that's it for me.
Great. I think we have one more slide that just mentions changing a life doesn't take a hero, so that's great. Thank you very much. And we will, I think, move on. We went a bit over time there, so we do have your contact information up, and we will make sure if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to us, or they can review the slide presentation. That information will all go out on our newsletter tomorrow. Okay, so moving on, we had a representative from TransLink was going to speak for us today, but looks like unfortunately he wasn't able to make it onto the meeting. So on behalf of Dave, we just wanted to mention the mandatory masks that took place on Monday. Was that yesterday? Man, I don't even know what day it is. So as of yesterday, masks are now mandatory on board all transit vehicles. I did see some information on that. They said it was very positive as far as most people, following that guideline, and there was really no issues. So it looks like it was a positive experience and, mandate put into place. So, and we are working with TransLink for a more detailed online discussion on their services, how it affects our businesses, getting employees to work and whatnot. So once we have that finalized, we will send the info out for that. So just stay tuned for that information. So now we will move on to Angeline Toscano. She is with Sunwood Retirement by Rivera. So she's going to say hi, and then we're going to play a short video. So go
Hello
ahead,
there.
Angeline.
Thank you, Flory. Hi, my name is Angeline. I'm from Sunwood here in Maple Ridge. We're an independent retirement community. I'm not sure if any of you have seen the inside of a retirement community. I'm going to play a little video, or they will play for me, to let you see just exactly what we do. We are full of life here, even during the fact that we had the COVID, not in our building, but throughout the neighborhood. Here you go. She's going to play the video, and then we can talk a bit later.
Hello, thank you for having me on Talk of the Town. My name is Angeline, and I'm the sales consultant here at Sunwood by Rivera. I'm going to take you indoors to show you who we are and what we're all about. Now, this is an active day, so we might see some people around. And oh, there's Karen. That's all good. Anyways, I'd like to let you know that we are an independent living facility. We are a retirement community. This is our lounge area. There's some folks here right now, just going around to our jigsaw puzzle area. And we're expecting a new table, so that should be arriving today. I'm going to take you outside to let you see one of our many patios. We have over 100 residents that live here happily and very productively as well. As you can see, they do enjoy their gardening. Here we are. One of our main focuses of the day is recreation. We have a lot of recreation that takes place here on a daily basis. Keeps everybody busy. I'm just heading towards the dining room right now. Our dining room is going to look a little different as we are with COVID, and here in our building, we've managed to keep that out. We don't even have a cold or a flu in the building. But there you go. That's the space that we have. I'm going to just walk this way towards a little breakfast area that we typically had our breakfast buffet in the morning, but that's no longer available due to COVID as well. Over here we have a little store so our residents can feel they don't have to go out and they can purchase little incidentals that they might need. Heading outdoors here again, this is our courtyard. We spend a lot of time out here, especially for musical events and outdoor activities. Yesterday we had our first Tai Chi down in the lovely courtyard there, and they were able to experience the warmth and the outdoors. Well, that concludes. I'm sure I could take you to a suite, but that will have to be another time. Please come and visit us when you can, when we're able to invite guests in again and have a normal life. Right now, our life is as normal as it can be, and we're all doing well. I have six residents moving in this month alone, so we've been busy. I thank you for having me. Just signing off. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi, thank you for that. I just wanted to let you know that this year should have been our 10th year anniversary, and we weren't able to do anything at that time, but in the future we will. And we typically like to open up and have people come for lunch, see who we're all about. We're very much open to the community, and in the future we'd love to have you come by and come and see us. But anything else, there's contact information there. Please feel free to contact me, and thank you very much. I appreciate being here today.
Thank you very much, Angeline. That was great. I liked the tour. That was very helpful information. And as you said, we have your contact information, so anyone that has questions can reach out. So with that, thank you again, and we will move on to our last presenter, which is Amanda Griffin she's a director with Maple Washing. And you just want to turn on there. Okay. So Amanda and her partner, both in business and marriage, her husband Gary, work with Maple Washing Inc. And Gary is actually at work today celebrating his birthday. So we wish him a happy birthday. And go ahead, Amanda, when you're ready.
Okay. I apologize. I don't have much prepared for the talk of the town. We actually went away camping to kind of celebrate Gary's birthday on the weekend. So Floyd has the member spotlight that we are this week, which was great. And we have actually been able to already receive a couple of calls because of this. So thank you, Floyd, for putting that together.
Awesome. Great to hear.
Yeah, we've been in business since 2005. And we do exterior cleaning of the home. So your windows, your gutters, your power washing, your brush washing. We'll do residential, commercial, and strata properties. And we have done our best to kind of be the neighborhood cleaning company. We will work anywhere from Vancouver to Chilliwack, but we tend to put a lot of our concentration to Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows. And Gary was born and raised in Maple Ridge, so that was his little territory he wanted to kind of keep. And so that's what we have strived for. And a lot of people in Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows, they do have us come and keep their homes looking all shiny and new, and that's always nice. Really, I'm poorly put together for this, but I apologize. Oh, thank you, Floyd. Right now we do have the back to school special, and that is for the siding of your home, your gutter washing, which gutter washing is the outside of your gutters, not the inside. That's gutter cleaning. But so the outside of your home, brush wash, your gutter washing, and window washing by brush. And generally speaking, a lot of times come September, people say, oh man, I wish that we had gotten something done in the summer. We kept saying we were going to, and then we never did. And a lot of people think that September isn't really the time to get anything done, but it's a great time, because if you preemptively get everything cleaned out, and then you'll be more ready for the fall time when all of a sudden you do have to have your gutters done. So if you're getting everything else done and you add, like with this, you would have to add the gutter cleaning to finish it. But if you get all that done ahead of time, you're not going to have any of the damage that can happen from overflowing gutters and whatnot. And come mid-October, late October, that's what the majority of our phone calls are, is we get a lot of panicked people noticing that there is overflowing gutters, they're worried about damage to the house, and they want us to come as soon as possible. So that is, we try to kind of slowly nudge everyone come September to kind of start working towards preventing any of that before it becomes a problem. Let's see, anything else that I can kind of tell you going forward?
I do have a question for you, Amanda. So what
Sure.
have the safety protocols, the change for you and your staff? I mean, you're outdoors, you're distance, so has there really been any changes to your safety protocols?
We were quite lucky in that regard, because with us being outside, generally speaking, it wasn't much of anything that would associate with the customers. We did, we made it so that our foreman or Gary no longer came to the door and collected payment as much at the end of the service. Normally that would be something that was given as an option. I processed much more over the phone credit card transactions than I would ever have before, but we wanted to limit that because that was the only time we're really in contact. Gary does the estimates, but he has the ability to kind of get all the information from you and come and do the estimate. He doesn't necessarily have to meet with you unless you want to meet with him. So Gary does have a mask that kind of comes with him for estimates and everything, so that he can talk with anyone that does want to discuss details. And other than that, we kind of interior windows, we offer a lot of interior windows because we do have a large population of our clientele is elderly. they can't really reach up to get the windows, or a lot of new homes and such have these high windows that no one can reach the inside of them. So we come with our ladders and we clean them so they stop looking so streaky. And we kind of just backed off of that during COVID because it wasn't comfortable for our guys to come into the house, and we didn't want any exposure risks really. So we kind of put a kibosh on that for a little while. Other than that, we've been pretty great. We've been lucky. And all of our guys have really taken to extra safety measures of making sure everything's washed down. Even simple things like washing off the hoses. Suddenly my hoses come back nice and clean. So there's been business as usual though.
Good, glad to hear it. And so with something like this, the special that you're talking about, so there's really no contact. You just make pre-arrangements. And about how long does something like this take?
Depending on the size of the property, generally speaking, this can be done, I think it's generally about 2 hours to get everything done. It can be even less time provided how many employees we have on the site. So we were fortunate to be able to have 2 teams out. We didn't think we would have 2 teams because of COVID, but we did have 2 teams running for a while. And now things are starting to slow down, that we're starting to kind of come back the teams into 1. So some days we have probably more employees than we need on a job site. So those jobs tend to go a lot faster because there's just so many hands making work that much faster.
Great, good information. So we've got your contact information up. So anyone who's interested, we will have that up. And it will be, like I said, presented through our recording on our YouTube channel. It will go out in our newsletter tomorrow. We've also been with the member spotlight, which is something that Amanda had just mentioned. We are offering that to our members. So if you're interested in that, reach out to us at info@ridgemeadowschamber.com to become part of our member spotlight. And those are actually, we are also putting those up in our office windows as well. So you get that poster put up in our office windows. So that is it. It doesn't look like there's any more questions. So I think we'll wrap up for now. And I thank you to all of our presenters, and take care, and best of everything for you guys. So we'll sign off. Thank you.